When you hear the name Michael Phelps, you think Olympic dominance.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about the most decorated Olympian in history. I mean, 28 medals, 23 of them gold.
It's just a staggering number.
But for anyone who really follows performance, the real story isn't just the medal count. It's
Yeah.
it's the cocktail, right?
That's it. It's this rare mix of his physical gifts, this brutal work ethic, and then this very specific neurological challenge that he actually managed to harness.
And that's exactly what this deep dive is about. We've gone through the sources to see how he combined all those things.
Specifically, how he managed his ADHD, using the pool as this perfectly controlled environment.
And then
Yeah.
we have to look at the inevitable crash.
The fallout, the really profound mental health crisis that hits him once that structure, the one thing that kept him in check, is suddenly gone, right?
So our mission today is to really understand the mechanics of his success and, critically, how he's now applying that same incredible focus to something completely different.
A new field, mental health advocacy. It's a deep dive into the cost of being perfect and that search for who you are when you step off the podium.
And before we get into it, you need to understand the scale of his success. I mean, it's almost unbelievable.
Get this. There's a statistic from the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the sources highlight. Phelps won 8 gold medals that year. 8. He, as one single athlete, won more gold medals than 195 entire countries that were participating.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack that. That level of achievement doesn't just happen, no matter how hard you train.
No, you had to start with the physical advantages. The man was, he was basically engineered for the water.
The sources describe a physiology that's almost perfectly adapted for swimming, right?
Perfectly. He had that big frame, the broad shoulders, that really long torso, which, cuts down on resistance.
And the wings, that was the big mechanical advantage.
Absolutely. Like, his height is 6'4", but his wingspan was a massive 6'7".
Oh, that's like a condor, yeah.
But the real genius, the real structural advantage, was in his feet.
The ankles.
The ankles. They were famously double jointed. So he could flex them, bend them, about 15 degrees farther than the average swimmer.
So they weren't just big feet. They were like virtual flippers.
Optimized flippers, giving him this propulsion that most people just can't physically replicate.
It's the definition of God-given talent.
It is, but the key is that he ruthlessly optimized it. That talent alone doesn't keep you on top for 2 decades.
Oh.
That required what the sources call a monastic level of commitment.
That's the part that always gets me. It wasn't just tough, it was relentless.
Relentless is exactly the right word, and here's why. Phelps trained for 20 years straight, 7 days a week.
Never took Christmas Day off.
Never. His coach, Bob Bowman, he actually calculated the advantage of that discipline down to the day.
So he quantified not just the training, but what you lose by not training.
Exactly. Bowman's whole theory was that an elite swimmer, if they take Sunday off, it takes them until Tuesday to get that feel for the water back.
Right. The feel they had on Saturday.
So by just getting rid of those down days, Phelps essentially gained, get this, the equivalent of 200 extra days of training over 5 years.
That is how you create separation. It's not just about gaining skill. It's about never losing that physical memory of the water.
And all that relentless work needed relentless fuel, which brings us to the famous diet.
The legendary diet.
Yeah. He debunked the whole 12,000 calorie a day thing, but the sources confirm that during his heavy training for Beijing, he was putting away a staggering 8,000 to 10,000 calories daily.
That volume is almost impossible to imagine. It wasn't just, eating a lot. This was fuel for a machine running 6 hours a day.
It was. For breakfast alone, we're talking 3 fried egg sandwiches, a bunch of chocolate chip pancakes, a 5-egg omelet, French toast.
And grits.
Then for lunch, like half a kilogram of pasta. And then dinner was another pound of pasta and a whole pizza.
It's just monumental. And yet,
because he was swimming up to 13 kilometers a day, he was burning 1,000 calories an hour in the water.
So he needed every single one of those calories just to maintain weight.
Right, just to break even and keep his body fat at a razor-thin 8%.
The takeaway there isn't really the calorie count itself, is it?
No. It's the level of output that was required to justify it. His whole life was just built around maximum nonstop function.
Which leads us perfectly into the psychological side of things. That's where this deep dive really begins.
Yeah.
How do you channel that kind of massive energy, that intensity, productively? And the answer is tied to his ADHD diagnosis.
And that's where the structure becomes so critical. He was diagnosed at 9. His mom, Debbie Phelps, was a middle school principal.
So she understood the system.
She did, and she knew right away the traditional classroom wasn't built for her. A teacher once told her he couldn't focus on anything, that he just floundered.
But her resourcefulness here is, it's just remarkable. She didn't try to fight his nature.
No, she found ways to channel it. When he kept grabbing a classmate's paper, she just had to move to his own table. Simple.
When he hated reading, she just gave him the SCART section.
Or sports books. And with math, she had tutors make custom word problems for him, all about calculating swim times.
She wasn't demanding that he comply with the system. She was building a path for him through the system that was tied to his interest.
And that's the key to understanding ADHD in a high performer like Phelps. See, the pool wasn't just exercise for him, it was the ultimate control mechanism.
Right, because with ADHD, when you find something that engages you, it's not just focus, it's hyper-focus.
It's a tunnel vision, exactly. And swimming provided that perfectly. It's sensory, it's repetitive, which is calming, and every single variable is controllable.
The temperature, the lane, the rhythm.
All of it. So by 6th grade, the schedule of practices and meets was so rigid, so ironclad, that he was able to stop taking his stimulant medication, and he did fine.
The routine was his medication.
The routine was the medication. It controlled that neurological restlessness. And his coach, Bob Bowman, he leveraged this completely.
They built these obsessive, unbreakable habits.
Totally. Perfecting his stretching, streamlining after every single turn. That intense focus on controlling what you can control. That was their secret weapon.
And there's that fantastic anecdote that shows just how deep that discipline went. It wasn't just about performance.
The C signal.
Yes.
Right. So when he was 10, he threw his goggles after getting 2nd place. His mom taught him about sportsmanship and came up with this silent signal.
A C with her hand.
For compose yourself. A nonverbal cue to just reset.
But the best part is that it really, as the sources say, it sank in.
So much so that one time, Phelps uses the signal back at his own mom when she was stressed out making dinner.
No way. He told her to compose herself.
He did, which shows that structure, it wasn't just external anymore. It became part of his own self-management system.
That is brilliant. But if that rigorous, unrelenting structure was the key to all his success, then you have to ask what happens when it's suddenly taken away.
And that takes us to the dark hole. This is where that duality becomes a tragic liability.
He had 3 major documented bouts of depression.
All of them following an Olympic Games. The drop after Beijing in 2008 was brutal. He said he returned to the darkest place you could ever imagine.
Well, the journey just stops. That 100-mile-an-hour train hits a wall. That kind of abrupt shift is destabilizing for anyone.
Especially for someone who'd funneled all their energy into one single thing for 2 decades.
His first public crisis was the DUI in 2004, right after Athens.
Yeah. He said that was the first time the depression really took over. He felt like he had to suppress every emotion to perform, and then suddenly he's out trying to play catch-up on being a kid.
But the absolute lowest point, that was after London in 2012.
Oh, yeah. He failed to medal in the 400 IM, and then he lost his signature event, the 200 fly, by a 1/10 of a second. He admitted his preparation was just poor. He said he got the results I deserved.
The fallout from that was catastrophic.
He became suicidal. He said, plainly that he just wanted to die. He locked himself in a hotel room for 3 days, mixing alcohol and pills.
It's just a sobering look at what the price of perfection can be.
And it's so easy to just dismiss this as, an elite athlete problem.
Right.
But the sources really imply this is a universal crisis of identity. When that one thing that defines you is gone, you forget who you are underneath.
That is the core of it.
And his depression and substance abuse just continued until that second DUI arrest in 2014. That was finally the turning point.
He checks into rehab.
And starts peeling back the layers. He realized he was running from something.
And what was he running from?
From being a person. He said he only ever saw himself as the athlete. That mindset that you can't ever show a sign of weakness, it wasn't just harming him, it was potentially lethal.
That realization in rehab, that mental health is this ongoing process, not a race you finish, that must have been transformative.
It was. He found empowerment just by talking about it.
Yeah.
Acknowledging the weakness was the first real act of strength.
He told his agent he'd never really given it everything I have until he faced his mental health.
I mean, think about that. Coming from the most dominant athlete in history, It suggests he was never really whole until his internal life was the priority.
And that allowed him to compete in Rio in 2016.
Right, where he retired as the oldest Olympic swimming champion ever at 31. But the struggle didn't just, magically vanish. He still says that without the pool schedule, he feels like a fish out of water.
Which brings us to his new mission, where
Mhm.
he's taking all that energy and channeling it into saving lives.
His philanthropy, the Michael Phelps Foundation, which he started back in '08, they're still doing water safety, but they've really ramped up their wellness initiatives.
The IM program.
The IM program, yeah. The sources say it has 8 emotional wellness lessons designed to build confidence, build resilience in kids.
Right, at that crucial age where he himself was struggling.
Exactly. And he's also pushing for change at the organizational level. He partnered with Talkspace.
The therapy app.
Right. Became a spokesperson, an equity partner, just hammering home that communication is the key to managing these emotions. It's like he's taking his mom's C signal and making it global.
But his biggest public push was that documentary, The Weight of Gold.
And this is where the urgency of his mission becomes just terrifyingly clear.
Yeah.
He was so frustrated because 2 of the athletes they interviewed for that film, they died by suicide before it even debuted.
Wow.
That reality, that defined his new focus.
So if you connect this back to his life as an athlete, the shift is just, it's staggering.
It is. His past goals were so sharp, so quantifiable. Shave zero point 0.1 seconds, win 8 medals.
And now, his new mission to change the culture, to save lives, is completely unquantifiable.
It's the total inverse of his training life. And his wife, Nicole, she pointed out that watching someone share their struggle, that's bigger than any gold medal.
So what does this all mean for you, whether you're a world champion or just trying to get through a tough week?
Well, the story of Michael Phelps is this powerful paradox, isn't it? His extreme, unrelenting structure. It was absolutely essential. It managed his ADHD, it channeled his energy, it got him the success.
But the sudden absence of that structure led directly to his most severe crisis. The mechanism that saved him could also destroy him when it vanished.
Michael Phelps now believes his next chapter, this work in mental health advocacy, has the potential to be so much bigger than anything that I've ever done.
Think about that. We're talking about a man whose legacy was measured in gold, in hundredths of a second.
And now he's measuring his success by human connection, by vulnerability.
So consider this. If the most successful athlete in history measures his next chapter, not by medals, but by prioritizing mental fitness and open conversation, what does that teach us about how we should be measuring success and prioritizing our own mental fitness in our own highly structured or maybe completely unstructured lives?
The real victory he found was finally composing himself long after he got off the block.